Hey, it's Josh. Welcome back. I am out here in the Barndo shop, and today I'm going to try to put some insulation in the ceiling here. So my walls are insulated with a R-Max that's about a half inch, and I've been extremely impressed in the brutal cold temperatures we've had this year of just how warm it stays in here. So it's in the 20s today. The Weather Channel said it feels like it's 12. When I came in earlier, my thermostat on my heater said it was 37 in here. And that's been pretty typical. Even when we had below zero, we never went below freezing in here. So the ceiling is not currently insulated, but there is an upstairs, and it's not insulated either, but I'm guessing it creates some level of insulation. The R-Max is just fantastic. So it's on the between the purlins and the metal siding. So I don't think we're getting any airflow through there. I did install a, what's it called, Comfort Zone 7500 watt heater that runs on a 40 amp breaker. And it's been doing pretty good. So I left and went to the store to pick up some stuff for this insulation. And it was 37 when I walked in. It's 59 right now, which feels pretty good in here. However, I just realized that to do the insulation, I don't know why I just realized this. I knew this ahead of time, but I hadn't thought about it. I'm going to have to open up both of my garage doors, get my side-by-side out. I'm going to pull the wood miser out onto the outside, out onto the concrete out here, to give myself more room to work. Part of the reason why I did that was I went out today and I bought a 6 foot by 30 inch baker, which is basically a rolling scaffolding that's made, I don't know if I said it, made by Werner, the ladder company folks. So I picked that up at Lowe's and thought, man, I'll be able to just scoot around in here and pull myself back and forth through this insulation pretty quickly. And I completely, overlooked the fact that I actually have nowhere to roll in here for the most part because I have so much stuff in here. So we're going to make it a little bit easier. I do have insulation supports that I'm going to use. These are the wires that you push up to keep the insulation from sagging. Now, the insulation that I got is a R11 Owens Corning 2 foot wide unfaced bats. And we have 2 by 10 rafters or joists, floor joists up top here. So I'm fully expecting that, they're not going to be as deep, but I kind of like that idea because I've been holding off on doing plumbing. I've been holding off on doing electrical. I'm just kind of overwhelmed with everything that has to happen. And I think I can get this insulation in there, help it stay a little bit warmer out here so it's more comfortable to work and not have it so closed in that I have to take insulation down to finish my wiring or even to run my my plumbing. So I'm going to do PEX here at some point. But I've got this. Let me tell you a little bit about this insulation. So this is R11 insulation, which is a soundproofing insulation. I can't even find it right now for sale anywhere. They sell the 16-inch versions, but not the 24-inch. I found it on Marketplace. I got 6 packets of 9 8-foot unfaced bats, and I paid $250 for that. So that's going to more than cover what I need for the ceiling. So I'll probably use some of it on the walls for extra insulation. If my math is correct, we are 28 feet wide, and I think I'm going to need 4.5 packs to get the ceiling done. So that's pretty good for $250. Now it's soundproofing, so it's not going to provide the best insulation, but I think based on what we're seeing in here with just the R-Max, and once the upstairs is insulated, and once we determine kind of our final decision on heating and cooling, I believe I'm going to put a furnace down here to heat down here and upstairs, but the ductwork will likely run outside of the rafters anyway. If not, we'll take down a little bit of insulation, so not a big deal. But I'm going to get this wood miser moved. I've got one of those little hitches that goes on the front bucket that I got from R2 Manufacturing, so we'll show that real quick. Roll this thing out, get the side-by-side out of here, clean it up a little bit, and then we'll do a little bit of updates as I go along on the project. Two other things that I recently acquired. Some of it was given to me to test and some of it wasn't. I got a new Vivor wood planer, which is pretty cool. So a new addition out here helped me start to get some of my wood planed down to do the walls. And I was given a small, very small MIG welder. And that thing was super cool. I've only done one weld so far, and I am far from being a welder and have a lot of practice to do, but it's something I've always wanted to do. So I picked up some extra stuff, helmets, flame retardant, jackets, a welding table, things like that. All that stuff will be shown over on our reviews channel, but I might just give you a peek of it on here as we're going along with the project. So stick around. Well, that little maneuver cost me about 14 degrees at least. Winds were blowing pretty good as I was trying to get that wood miser moved out of there. But now we've got a lot more space. I'm going to get that baker in here and put it together. All right, so this thing is pretty simple. We got the side stabilizers here that are going to hold the platform. Then we have the two ends, and the cool thing about this, it has wheels, but it's also, you can add a second one to it to make it twice as high, and then you can put outriggers on it to make it wider and more stable. So, looks pretty cool. I justified it by the fact that the upstairs, when we get to that point, to finishing the upstairs, we're going to need to be able to go up to 14 feet high, ideally to be putting on tongue and groove. But insulation, wiring, everything. So that's how I'm justifying the purchase at the moment. And it really wasn't as expensive as you'd think. I think this was like $239 maybe. Could have been a little bit more. Not bad though. Cheaper than what I saw at Home Depot. So it says to put it at the desired height that you're looking for. And we may figure that out once we're up on it. Start about right there. No tools required for the assembly. Well, that was pretty cool. We'll figure out level here in a minute. They had a smaller one that was interesting to me because it collapsed and folded up, which was kind of nice. And it had steps, so you could step up onto it, but you couldn't stack another one on it, and it looked even narrower than this one, so would have been handy for the insulation, but wouldn't have worked upstairs. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. Now we have these little things here that are to engage the platform. I'll put the wheels on first before I get any more weight on it. It's going to be nice. All right, there's down. Slips right in there. Then you've got a little spring activated lock to keep the platform from coming loose. Pretty cool. All right, so I got my bats loaded up. I'm ready to go. And what you see here is panic setting in as I start to realize some of my bats are wet. And I'm freaking out thinking that maybe all of my 6 packs are wet. This would be my own fault. I've had these for a year and it would be from my own storage. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so I'm on to the next package and I've got dry insulation. So I'm making good progress here, getting it put up there and being reminded very quickly just how nasty this stuff is and how much I hate insulation. But we're making good progress. The baker is certainly making life a little bit easier, and but still plenty of challenges to work around here. So on to the next package. Let's see what we've got in those. Little spoiler alert, it's not all good news. Okay, so I'm an hour and a half in. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 partially done. I've got 3 almost done with the exception of that 4-foot section that needs cut there. And I found that some of my insulation had been sitting and getting wet. And right in the middle where it bends is where it's wet. So those are all gonna have to be probably cut to get the wet part out because it's super heavy and super condensed. And I had, as I said, 6 bundles and I needed 4.5. I have 2 over here that are dry and 1 more that's wet. So I'm going to have somewhere around, actually, let's see, 2 dry, 2 wet, and that one wet. So I'm gonna have 3 and I'm gonna have to make do with the others. Good news is I had extra, so hopefully it'll be all right. Temperature in here is holding at 59, plenty warm, and the scaffolding is working pretty darn well. Can't imagine doing this on a ladder. The other thing is this is R11 and it's probably about 2.5 inches, maybe 2 inches thick. It is not thick insulation, but I'm sure it'll help. Every little bit ought to help. Okay, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I got done all but about 200 square feet of insulation. So I got about a pack and a half to go. That's 24 pieces. And one of my bundles was wet, but I was able to cut that down and use like 3.5 foot sections or close to 4 foot sections on both sides of where the fold was, where it was wet. You ever have one of those moments where it's like something just spoke to me when I was at Lowe's today and I was picking up those wires to hang and support the insulation? They had an insulation knife. I have never owned one of these. I've done insulation a few times, not a lot of times, but let me tell you, this thing was awesome. It's very sharp. It cuts really nice, and I think it would have been a mess if I hadn't had that. That neck gaiter, I didn't wear it enough. I ended up with a bloody nose, a reminder to not mess around with this insulation stuff. Safety goggles the whole time, gloves, and a hat. So I'm about to go wash all of this stuff, try to get the insulation out of it. But it reminds me of a childhood memory, taking all of the old insulation, probably asbestos type stuff, who knows, out of my great grandmother's house, one great, when I was probably 5. So my dad and my uncle Jeff, if you're watching, hello, they were pulling all of the insulation out of our attic to do new insulation. And I remember helping and just being covered and itchy and just miserable. So got the long sleeves on. I'm hoping to not have too many issues based on this, but I've got probably, I think I spent about 3 hours. So this is a close to 1,200 square foot barn. And I've got about 200 square feet to go. So I got 1,000 square feet done in about 3.5 hours. There's no way I could have done that without this rolling scaffolding. This was the best thing I could have invested in. I'm interested in the fact that I can double it when I need to go taller upstairs. It's going to come in handy. It's going to come in handy when we're doing, I'd like to put wood on all of the ceiling. And so that's what I want to do. And I know I've showed you guys in the past, the far end of this has a sloping, it was an apron on the original building. It was actually on the outside. And having the locking wheels was good for that. So I didn't end up rolling all over the place. But I was able to pull myself around and work pretty good up here on the flat area. My main goal was to get as much of it done as I could around where the sawmill is normally parked and where I have got stuff parked that's harder to move. So this back half should go pretty quickly. We're making progress, slowly but surely. One of these days we'll actually be able to have people stay upstairs. That's kind of the long-term goal here. But I'd like to get the shop done just so that we have a great place to come out here and get work done. And I want to get stuff out of my garage in the main cabin. It's got a 4-car wide unfinished garage basement area, and I'd like to finish part of that so we can have a place for the kids to go down and have a little more space to spread out. So we're pretty on top of one another when we're there. I mentioned that I was going to show you the planer and the welder. Stay tuned. I will have something on that before too long. I might just do a couple highlight reels or something. So I've got reviews of both the planer and the welding equipment that I bought. Really interested in learning how to weld, but it's going to take some time. Need to find some projects and dive into that. And that welder I think will do up to 1/4 inch of steel. So it's not like I'm going to be welding anything major anytime soon, but we'll see. So if you've stuck around this long, thanks a lot for watching. We really appreciate your support. We've got a lot of big things coming, and hopefully we'll get some more videos posted more often. Thanks all for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.